So hello everyone, and I've seen lots of videos online which show what blueprint casting and interface do, but it took me so much time to understand because everyone just showed like same example which was interact function, how to do interact and all that stuff, and everyone was like casting is bad, use interface, but like nobody explained why should the casting be not be used, and what like why should we even use interface and how and what is the other cases inside of like the interact functionality. So it took me so much time to understand it, and I do want to explain what I've learned till now so that I can keep this as a video note for my future self. And also, if you guys know anything more, you could just add it in the comments, that other people who are like me can understand, because it took me so much time to understand. And another thing I want you guys to know is that if you are still struggling to understand this, you simply need to start copying stuff and then try to understand it. And that's literally what happened. I watched like 5 6 7 videos and I just couldn't understand until I actually tried to do all that stuff and tried to create something or an explanation that my brain could understand. So that explanation is what I want to show today to you guys. So you could see I actually have taken notes, and I want to tell you guys one thing. So blueprint interfaces are soft references and casting is hard references. Now both of it, what do they mean? So I have some notes in here with like really bad handwriting. This was like really, you could see it says 9th August 2024. It's around where I started to learn this stuff. It's like now February 2025. So I do have much more knowledge right now about it, and I've used it in other projects too. So let me explain. So what are hard references and soft references? Let me first explain that. So everything about this is to do with memory. Memory is nothing but RAM, like this. So imagine this is your RAM, 16 GB, 32 GB, or even lower than that or higher than that. It is your RAM. And whenever we have some logic, so for now, when I to play, there's some logic on this player, right? That is, when I press W, you should move forward, then the animation should play, it should move forward, and when I do right, it should face that direction, move it, space to jump, and all that logic. Now all that logic to work, we actually need to store it temporary in our RAM, so that we can do all that blueprint logic or code language, or not code language, code logic into this, what you call, to make it work basically. And the thing about this RAM is that it is not infinite, right? It is limited. It's 16 GB, 32 GB, and all that stuff. So every time you want to do something, it needs to be loaded into your RAM for that logic to work, which is where our memory is used. So hard references load into memory on load. It can also break the game if one of it is removed or changed. As it is loading instantly, initial load would be longer and also can increase memory usage. So what does that mean? So let me just add the first person blueprint for this one to explain to you guys better. So I'm going to add first person blueprint. So let me load my first person map, and this would give you an example. So this one is made with casting, which is by default. And again, this one also has the logic right now, which is loaded into my RAM, which basically is making me move around here when I press WSD. Now this gun, you could see I'm not really using this gun. I'm actually now moving, I'm going around here, I'm doing all that stuff. And let's say if this was actual game, this gun should not be loaded in my memory, right? Because if it's using my memory right now, if it's still using my RAM, which has its own logic, which is shooting, how many bullets it has, all that animation and stuff which needs to be triggered, all that stuff, it is, let's say if it's loaded in my memory, it would be stupid, right? Because I'm not using that gun. I'm just going around, I'm doing all that stuff and just moving, going, just doing like other game stuff. That would be stupid if it's loaded in my memory. But if I click on it, this is now where it should be loaded in my memory, right? Because right now I want to use this logic. I want to shoot, I want it to track my what you call, how much bullets it has. When I do left click, all that stuff, now it's supposed to be shooting that stuff. So let me just play again to show. So let's say I just picked up that gun and dropped it. Okay, it would still be stupid to have that logic in my memory, still in my RAM, right? Because we are not using it. And that's literally what hard references are. Hard references, basically it checks if it should be loaded or not. So if I go to this blueprint in this one, in my edit pp pickup class, You could say it also says around here, a cast is a hard references that loads the reference actor into memory when the actor that contains the cast is loaded. In this case, it's the best solution as we need a direct reference to the pawn, reference to the actor coming in the form, and all stuff. Okay. So what this basically means is that right now we can see we are doing casting to BP underscore first person character. Basically, if I load my character, it will check, the game will check what is it casted to. It will check, okay, it is casted to this gun. The blueprint actor is casted to the gun, so let me load that into my memory. And it will check anything else. So if this gun has another logic inside its blueprint, if this gun has like more logic, which is now casting to another stuff. So let's say if this gun is casting to a wall, and that when I check that wall, it also has a casting to, let's say, a trigger or something. So the problem is, if you load just this player and it has casted to something, and then it has casted to something, and it has casted to something, all four of that would be loaded. And let's say if I was just playing and then the door is 10 minutes away from this one, so I'm not going to reach that door yet. It would be stupid to load that yet, right? Because just because I've loaded this gun, I've loaded this character, it has continuously loaded that door into my memory, and I'm not even close to it. It's like 10 minutes further than me. So that's what hard references are. And the problem is, when one hard reference stops working, the whole game can stop working, or the logic will simply just break, which is called coupling. Coupling is basically means that if one thing breaks, or they're dependent on each other basically. So it's good to create something which is decoupled, or they're not dependent on each other, so that even if someone's playing your game and one thing breaks, they are not going to like just stop the game, right? It should still be playable. So this is where it is. Soft references are like lazy loading. They are only loaded into memory when needed. Now there's a reminder, it is loaded into memory but not freed after done. So even though it is loaded in your memory and you removed it from your, let's just, like I said, the gun example, you dropped that gun, it is still loaded in your memory. But we don't really need to worry about that, because it is freed by garbage collection automatically by Unreal Engine 5. So Unreal Engine 5 has something called garbage collection. It's not just limited to Unreal Engine, it is also for C++ and all other coding languages. Garbage collection basically is like an algorithm or whatever they have created, which checks, is the thing that is loaded in our memory, is it needed in future? Is it really needed? How long has it been like reference, or how long has it been in the memory without being touched? And then garbage collection will basically be like, nope, it hasn't been used. It doesn't seem like our player is going to use it, so let's just remove it. So here's one of the example, which is BP underscore player, BP underscore button. So this player touches this button, so it is casted to this one, and then this button has been casted to this BP light. So if we use cast or hard references, as soon as we load this player, so all three would load instantly and be stored in memory. As soon as this is loaded, it will store in the memory. If we press the button and light turns on, the assets are still in our memory even though we don't need them anymore. So let's say you're playing some game and you turned on the button and then you turned on the lights, and you're not even going to touch these lights again. You don't really need to have this logic in there, right? If someone's not going to touch that button again, and even if they are going to touch the button again, it's still better to use like interface, right? Which is soft references, because we don't constantly need that. So for something like that, it's better to use soft references, so that even if, let's say, this light breaks, I still want my game to work. Because what if this light breaks and the castings are not working, or if this breaks and the castings are not working, then I don't want my game to just crash because of button. This leads to memory leak. Basically, it is taking like memories or RAMs usage, even though it is not going to be used. But with soft references, they are only added in memory when needed, and garbage collection should may remove after not needed anymore, thus freeing up memory usage. This is the core principle of why we should use soft references or hard references or casting and interface. And then you're like, then why should I even use casting in the first place? And there are reasons where you could use castings. Let's say my game requires me to have this gun constantly. So I know that as soon as, let's say, this gun is there, and in this full game, I'm just going to use this gun. there's no changes into this gun. Maybe this gun gets upgraded and all that stuff. This logic constantly needs to be used. So in that case, I can just cast, right? Because I'm not going to leave it. That's never going to be memory leak because I'm constantly just going to use this gun. Also, if you want to cast to something, let's say, if you go to world settings, your game mode, which is around here. So if you want to cast to your game mode, it is completely okay because your game mode is going to be always loaded, because that's like the basic stuff. Like casting to your game instance is okay, casting to your player controller, so you could see this player controller is okay, casting to your level blueprint is okay because it's constantly going to be loaded, right? So anything which is constantly going to be loaded, even if you try to do soft reference, it's totally okay to use hard references for that. And yeah, so let's try to get some examples on how can we use casting and how can we use blueprint interfaces. So let's get an example in a third person template. I'll use that one to get some examples. Okay, running. I'm just going to use the default blueprints. So first of all, I'm going to show the basic one that everybody teaches, which is interface. So I'm using this casting light, which is a blueprint which comes in starter library. It doesn't have any logic to turn it off or on. Basically, they do have like public variables which we can control. So let me go into this blueprint ceiling and let's see what they have done first. So they're using construction script. This construction script, it basically runs it before even we click this play, and anything that is in event graph gets played when we do the play, which is why they have just done is taken this point light, which is just a point light. They have taken this point light and set its intensity to a brightness, set the color to a color, and then set the source radius to a radius. And they are basically just using variables so that it can be customized. And you can see they have made it to be public. So when you click this eye icon, or if you tick this mark, it basically turns into like public. And basically what this means is that if I duplicate right now like this, I can now make this one's color to be blue. And even though they are same blueprints, they have like different settings around here. So I'm just going to delete this and keep one of it for now. And let's start doing some stuff. Okay, so even in event graph, I'm just going to do is I'm going to get an event begin play so that it runs as soon as we click play. I'm going to get this point light, and then I'll do set intensity to be 0. So as soon as we click, and if I do play, let me like move my player start closer to it so that I don't have to walk so much. So you could see it is now turned off. There's no light. Let's first do with casting, and let's then do with blueprint interface, and then let's also see some examples. I know I make these videos to be like a bit bigger. I don't like to make it like smaller because I do want to watch these videos in future in case I forget something, and then just be like, okay, so I know exact reason rather than just rushing. So I also want to check my, where did it go, third person blueprint. So there's my third person blueprint that is getting used. Let me do a sequence. Basically makes it easy to just organize it. So first do this, and then we will start doing all our stuff around here. So I'll do cast to ceiling lights, right? So cast to blueprint ceiling light. So I'm doing a cast to blueprint ceiling light. So for object, it's usually just the parent. So the parent is actor, but let's try doing get actor of class. I don't think this would work, but let's see, because it's been so long since I've used like casting on like items like this. Ceiling light, well, that should not work because it's like going from this to this. So again, usually if you are facing an issue where you're not able to like select or trying to find like what object should be applied in here, it's usually not a good way to do it basically. So if you find it to be struggling like me right now to find what should I add in here and there is no way to do it, it's basically not going to be the right way to do it. But what I can also do is, it is also casting, by the way. Even though it says not casting, we can simply just do pp underscore the ceiling light. Nope, where is it? Ceiling. So here, even though I'm doing get actor of class, it is same as casting. Okay, it just doesn't say, it is still doing hard references, because right now I'm just going to do is promote it to variable, and then I'm going to call it as like ceiling light. When we do get actor of class, it basically only gets the first one. Okay, so if I have 3 or 4, it will not work. I'll have to loop through it, which I'll see if we doing this one or not. But this is also like doing casting basically, because we are directly creating a hard reference around here. I'm going to create a F keyboard, I think. So I'm just going to use this what you call input keys, which are available in Unreal. Ideally, you don't want to do this. You want to use mapping context and input and that stuff. And if you watch my video on, like I made a video on how to create movement from scratch, because Unreal comes with third person and first person. But again, if you do not know how that works, it would be stupid, which is why I created a video on how to make it from scratch. And in that I explained what like input, mapping context and input is. Basically it's better way to do it. But when you want to quickly do something to check something like this, then it's good to do it. When I press, I want to do something to the ceiling light. So let me get this ceiling light, which I created. So whatever we got from here, which is this blueprint class, I'm simply I created a variable light here, which is around here. And what I'm simply saying is that to set intensity of it. So set intensity of the point light. So it automatically searched that there's a point light inside this one. You could even do like this. Okay, so set intensity, and you could see we get the same stuff. All I simply did was whatever value we got in here, we just created like a container and stored it in there so that I can use it anywhere. Let's do on press. I want the intensity to be 500 when I press F. Let's see if that works. And you could see it worked. As soon as I pressed F, let me go in here and let me add a flip-flop node. Flip-flop, it basically will switch between two states. So when I press F at the first time, it will turn to 500, and then let me create another. When I click it again for the second time, it will turn to 0. So let's do F. If I go away, I can still do this. You could see it's not actually like an interact functionality yet, but I can still do this. But now let me go into my third person and let's look at reference viewer. If I click on it, if I open this around here, you could see there's a white line around here. It is now casted to the blueprint ceiling light. Basically what this means is that as soon as a game mode is loaded, it is loading our PP third person character, and it is also loading this mannequin, which is the this is like animation blueprint. So all the animations which should be running, then the skeleton, so because we need that, then all the controls for that, and the mapping context. But it's stupid to load this, right? Very stupid to load this. And actually there are like different colored lines. This one does not have that. I do not know which line means what, but there are sometimes going to be different colored lines which you could check. This one, white color lines which are dark, probably means casting. Like this, all of these are casting or referenced. Even if you go into here and then click on size map, this is how much it is taking in your memory. So this is disk size. Sorry, there's two options, right? Disk size and memory size. Click on memory size. So it is taking 121 MB of my memory, like this. So here you could see blueprint ceiling light. It is also getting loaded in our memory, which is around what, 10 MB. So 5.6, 5.6, like this. So this whole is getting loaded as soon as our player has been loaded. And imagine if you had like so much stuff, then the 10 MB would like stack, constantly stack. And it is also based on how much stuff you have in that. So let's try doing blueprint interface. So I'll just do it in here just for, I don't want to move anywhere else. So which is why. So let's create an interface, which is pretty easy to do. And let me explain it. Okay, so blueprint interface. I will type BPI underscore, and here we can just type as interact. And the reason why I'm typing interact, and again, you can 100% do like turn lights off and on. You could basically just create this interact functionality just for this light option. Okay, the best part about like this using blueprint interface like this is that it is like very dynamic. So when you have, let's say, lots of different stuff, you do not have to create like different BPI or interfaces for each one of them. You can just reuse one stuff again and again. So first step is to create an interact functionality. Sorry, interact blueprint interface, sorry, interface blueprint, then we have an option called function, which we need to name, and you could say it is only read only. So the job of this interface is to just specify what it has. Okay, so I'm going to call it as turn lights on, like this, on off. And obviously the best thing to do would be to like do something like this. You could do like not do something, but basically toggle action or something like that, you would call it. Let's do that. Okay, so let's do it in a better way. So I'm going to call it toggle action. If I add an input like this, here we can add inputs to this one. Okay, so or let's take one step at a time. Okay, so I've just created a what you call function in here which has toggle action and nothing else. I've not done anything else. Let's go to our blueprint ceiling action. Now how do I know to use blueprint ceiling action? Because I want the action to happen in this one. I want the logic to happen this one. The job of the third person character is just to send the message, right? Which we are doing literally around here. We are just, you see, we are getting the actor and then we are sending. So we are just getting the actor, which is ceiling in our environment. And then we are basically sending the message that, hey, in your stuff, I want to do this stuff. And then the blueprint is like being like, okay, I received the message. Let me turn the intensity on and off. Okay, and that's exactly the same stuff that we need to do. So right now the blueprint ceiling light is the one that needs to receive the message. So anything that needs to receive the message, and there's been lots of time where I've been confused, and you just have to like play around until you figure it out. So don't worry if you are struggling a bit, but check in class settings. There is implemented interfaces. In here, search the interfaces that you did, which I call it as interact, BPI interact. As soon as I do compile, in my interfaces, I have something called toggle actions. If I try to drag it, nothing happens, but I think you have to just click implement, implement event. Let me just delete this, implement event. So you could think of this as just doing custom event. You know, the custom event like this. Let's say I call it as toggle lights, like toggle lights. If I create a custom event like this and then make this one to be, you know what, I'll just copy this from here, F like this. I'll organize so that you guys don't get confused. Let's do this stuff. Okay, so basically I just created a custom event in here. This is not what you need to do for interfaces. I'm just showing you guys. I can get this point light and just give it to both of this. And in our interfaces, I could have just done is like, oops, not like this. In our ceiling light blueprint, right? So in our ceiling light, I could have just said switch. What is that called? Toggle lights. It's called toggle lights. So toggle lights. You could see. We don't need to do this. We just can do like this. So we are saying, hey, when I press F in my ceiling light, run this event, and the ceiling light is being like, okay, I need to just do this stuff. Let's see if that works. And you could say it still works. All we simply did was, instead of adding the logic around here, we basically said that, hey, I know there's an event in your blueprint. Please run this whenever I click F. And that's basically it's doing. It is doing the same stuff. Now, this is interface. You could just think of it as a custom event. Okay, just think of it as custom event. I add this around here and stuff is happening. So I add it around here, and then we have event toggle action, flip-flop, and all that stuff, right? But then how do I send the message that, hey, I want this event to run? You could say it is an interface in this ceiling light, and you could say it just stopped working. So right now, if I go to any other blueprint, so you see this is where we have added the interface, right? But I'm going into this blueprint third person, and I'm just going to call it as toggle lights. What did it? Toggle action. Okay, so toggle action, and you could say it says message. So when I click this, I want to send a message to this this interact functionality, that is toggle action. I double clicked it accidentally. But what this is saying is that, okay, so I added the interact, but who should I send? This target, you see, that is the message which is like, hey, where should I send this message? Who should I send this message? Now the thing is, we have already done this, but it is still going to use hard reference, right? Because we are already getting the get actor of class, and then we have done set. Just to check if this works, let's add this to the target. So it is when we click F, it is saying that, okay, this ceiling light, let's send the toggle action message. The blueprint ceiling light is being like, okay, I do have a toggle action event in me. Let's do that. So we can even do one more thing, which is like does implement. So here it is, does object implement interface, and we can do like interact. So we can even do stuff like this, which is if this, like if this one has an interface, then only do stuff. So if I create a branch, if I add it around here and then connect it to this one, I could add this condition, and it will basically be like hey, does this has this BPI interact? So which is like this one, has this implemented? Then only it will send the message. You could do that. Even if you don't do that, nothing's going to happen. So you could see, even if I hover on it, so if I, let's say, hover on it, it's good to add a check, I think so. But again, it says message, this does nothing if the target does not implement the required interface. So basically, if you can kind of skip this step, but so I've seen some people use that. I've never used the does implement to check, but I think people might be knowing that it works or not. Basically, I'm just like saying anything right now, but basically, you could say it still works. But again, we are still using casting. Why is that? Why are we still using casting? Simply because we are still getting the actor of class from the ceiling light, like this. So the way we can do is we can completely remove this one. Also remove the ceiling light. Yes, I want to remove it. And the compile action is, it's not going to get compiled. So let's do compile. Okay, it's not getting compiled. Let me check if in my third person, because again, I'm going to tell you one thing, that even if you change some stuff, you have to most of the time refresh it or do something so that it does not get implemented. Sorry, it does not show, or it updates this area basically. And you could see, for me, I got lucky and it does not show the ceiling light anymore. So is there a way for me to get this target dynamically? So rather than me setting a interface directly, is there a way for me to get the interface or the target dynamically? There are lots of ways to do it. One of it would be to add like a collision box in front of it, or line trace. So I'll show both how to do line trace and how to do the collision box. So let's create a collision. I'll call a collision sphere like this. Let's make this to be, I'll call this as interact collision like this. Make the size to be like a lot. I'll also make it be editor visible. So no, how do I show? Okay, so hidden in game. If I click on it, it should now be visible. Now this interact collision allows me, not like this. If I click on it, let me hide this. I get like so many options around here. So on component hit, on component begin overlap. I could use this to get what the what the other actor is. So basically, whatever the other actor is, which is colliding with me, I could get that. So what I could do is, let's do on pressed, let's do a print string and print me, wait, not like this, sorry. On here, I'll do is print the other actor, which is, so it will get the name of the other actor and print it. So let's see. So right now, this is nothing. So again, this one does not have any collision, so probably it's not working for these guys. So okay, so they do not have any collision or a way to interact. But if I click here, you could see the blueprint ceiling light. It shows blueprint ceiling light as soon as I get into this stuff. So we are dynamically now getting the same stuff. For the first time when we did that, we were actually putting that value in here, but in this one we are basically just getting it dynamically from here. So what I could do is, when I collide with it, I can send the message to that one, which is toggle the action like this. What would that do? Let's see. You could see it is turning on, turning off, turning on, and then turning off every time I'm colliding with it. So right now it has been dynamically done, but how about I make it based on my pressing key? So for that, we can, instead of doing it in here, we can make it be like press around here. So we add the input around here. Just keep in mind, this would not get any input until you enable the input for it. So let's do enable input. I could do like get player controller. Again, this is not multiplayer, so we can do 0, or we could use this method, which is player 0. If you want to do multiplayer, then you will need to do a bit different by adding player controller, casting and all to player controller. And like I said, it's okay to cast to player controller because it's constantly loaded. I'm going to remove this, and then I don't want to do enable input around here. I actually want to do like around here like this. So when I collide with it, it will basically enable the input so that it knows that I'm actually in like the intractable distance from me. And here we could do F key, and we could do press like this. Now if I go to this one and press F, I'm able to do it, but now I'm still able to do it even though I'm far. Let me first do it from around here. So you could see I'm pressing F, nothing's happening. As soon as I interact, the input is enabled for that one and it is working. But how can I just now make it so that the input is not working at all? Now there are two ways to do it. I can basically go in here and then create another function like this, and then say like stop action. Again, I'll show better way to do it, but for now let me show you guys this one. In my blueprint ceiling light, you could see like this. I'll add, let me compile. So make sure to compile in here, else it will not show. I can now implement the second event, which is stop action. I'm just showing you this is there's like better way to do it. So let's first let me do it like this, and then I'll show better way. So if I click on here, again I'm pressing F, nothing's happening. If I click on it, I'm still able to do it. Again, I forgot to do one thing. I forgot to send the message that, hey, like even though we added this event, we are never sending the message that, hey, stop it. So let's go to our interaction collision, and then on component and overlap like this. Let's go into here. Let's do stop action, which is a message. You could see it says message, right? So we are sending a message, and then who we are sending is this other actor. Let's stop, and you could see I'm not able to do anymore because it stopped the collision. If I go too close, I can just turn it off. If I go further, I'm not able to turn it off. So you could see I'm just spamming now F, and you could see the difference. Now, why did I say like there's a better way to do it? I'll show you. So if I go into my toggle action, let me just remove my stop action completely. In my toggle action, we have inputs and outputs. So in the inputs, I can simply just click, and we can add something like is closer or something. We can even do like question mark because that makes it easy. And just keep in mind that if you add an output, it turns into a different stuff, which is I think it turns into a function. But let's first remove this stop action in here. If I go to my third person and I try to compile, you could well, we can remove this. If I try to compile, you could see it says is closer like this. So this input which we added around here is added around here, and then in the BP ceiling class, it is present around here. You could even add like lots of stuff, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So when I now click toggle action in here, which is the same message, I can just send it and then send this to this target. And here I could say that when I'm beginning overlapping, this is true, and when it is stopping overlapping, this is false, right? Let's compile and let's go to blueprint ceiling class, and here we can simply just add a branch like this, and we will add this as the condition. When it is true, enable it. When it is false, disable it. So when I'm getting closer to it, this is sending a message toggle action with this tick mark. So what would happen? It will go, the message will receive here. It will be like, okay, let me check. What did I receive from them? Oh, I received a tick mark, which is true. So it will run this. Then when I'm going outside, it will send the same message, send it to the same target and be like, okay, I'm not getting a tick mark. It will say, use the same node and be like, okay, it is not. When on false, just do that. Let's click and you could see I don't have to do much stuff. I'm just spamming F so that you could see that as soon as I show in here, it just works. And obviously you could even add like more stuff. So if we click in here and you type like light intensity like this and probably name it correctly and then give it a float like this. Let's do compile. Again, this one only stores value. Okay, the goal of this stuff is to store something or store variables and values so that others can, and so that other blueprints can choose what to do with that. So now you could see we have like different light intensity around here. I can actually promote this to variable like this. When should I do that? Let's do instantly. And then let's connect it around here. Promoting to variable basically would create like a light intensity, and then I can just get it and then I can just set it around here, which is the new intensity. So in my blueprint one, when I'm overlapping, I can say that, hey, the light intensity should be like 5000. And for this one, it should be 0, obviously. Actually, even though you send here 0 like this, or even if you send anything around here, it would not work because we have added like a hard-coded value around here, see? So even though it gets like, okay, let's say if you send 5000 in here, it will go in here 5000, it will go to the B and be like, okay, let me set the light intensity to 0. But for the true, it will be like, okay, I'm getting to here. What light intensity should I set to? Oh, I've already gotten message from like the other stuff. So if I click here, you could see the intensity is now 5000 like this. So there are ways where you could like send a message with like lots of variables and stuff around here. You could even think of it as, let's say it's an XP pool, right? So when you interact with it, it basically gives me, let's say an item, and then your character needs to send a message that, hey, I have $500. And here, if you go in here, your character will send the message to this store that, hey, I have $500. So now in that like store logic, it will be like, okay, this guy has a $500, so all this stuff he can buy, and this is something that he cannot buy, like this. So that's one thing. Another way to do this is, rather than using collision boxes, we can use something called like line trace. Okay, line trace is basically where you like split out a line, not split out, but you throw a line or shoot a line, and then that line basically checks that, okay, did it touch something, and it gives you all the like values or stuff that it has touched. So how about I try it once more? So right now I'm just going to remove this collision boxes and I'm just going to delete this interact collision. I don't want it anymore, so delete. I do want to create a dedicated video on line trace because I do use it quite often, and there are times where I just forget and I have to Google some stuff because I don't know why. It just happens. I think you do something 10 times and then 11 times you forget sometimes. So it's good for me to create like a video note for myself in future, and maybe you guys will also like it. So I'm just going to create a F key like this. So F keyboard event, and then I'm just going to remove this side for now, and then we will do that. When I press F, I want to do line trace by channel. Okay, and there are a lot more stuff. Okay, so there are spear trace by channel, like spear trace by channel. It basically throws a spear, but this would take like more calculations. I've have a video I'll play around here, which is a ballista, which I made. It basically shoots like a spear trace and looks for like, is it a player, and then only it will like shoot. So how does this line trace works? We basically need to give it a start and end value. So where should it start with and where it should end with? If I, let's say, make the Z to be like 50,000, let's play. I don't think we can see it in here. Actually, it is actually shooting. We actually need to select for duration like this. Basically, if you don't select this, you will not see the line trace. And there you could see the line trace going from 0 to like 50,000. I don't know how long it will stay. Okay, I press again and you could see it is shooting. I need to give it the start location and end location. How can we get that? It's pretty easy. You can get your camera. You could get its location. Get like world location. We are doing world, okay, not relative. And we can set this as a start location. So wherever we are looking at the camera, it will basically shoot it from there. Then we need to select an end location. Now end location, I cannot simply give like different values, right? So what would happen if I just press F like this? You could see I'm shooting it from my camera location. So from my camera location to like that. It's not shooting from my character, it's shooting from my camera location, which is this looking. I need to get this and add some values to it. So I could say that get whatever the world location is, add that many stuff, but I don't know which forward is. So which direction am I looking at for this one? Which is why we can get this camera. We can say get forward vector like this. This one would basically give me like in what 0 to 1 value which direction I'm looking at. So this would basically give me like where my camera is looking at, because it's giving like forward, so which is in my front. And then it just gives in 0 to 1. Okay, so let's say if I'm facing completely towards Z axis, which is like completely up. So if I'm looking completely like up, it will basically give me like 0 0 1. Let's try it. It will not perfectly give 0 0 1, I think, for this one. So let's try print stringing. Let's just print this much. Oh, sorry, not this much. Let's go in here and let's do print string for this one. I don't want it to be confusing for you guys. Let me like remove all the stuff that are not needed. Okay, so this is what we are doing. We are taking a camera, we are checking forward vector, which is the forward vector, and printing it. You can see it gives us X, Y, and Z of where we are looking. If we are looking up, you could see it is giving me like 0 0 1, because I'm looking perfectly up. If I'm looking down, it's giving me -1 0 0 -1. There is slight difference. If I was looking perfectly towards one direction, it's hard to look at perfectly at one direction with mouse, okay? But you can kind of get the value, right? Right now I'm facing Y kind of perfectly, or -Y like this. So this one basically gives me which direction I am looking at. So let me turn this off. Let me connect this again so that it is getting the world location of my camera, which is a start, and end we are getting this stuff, which is the forward vector. And then we can simply just, I think it would be better to multiply rather than doing plus, and we can just multiply it like this. Still we need to add. I think we need to still add, because I don't know what the value it would give. Yeah, it's not going to give us like good value if we just multiply and then do all this stuff. We need to now see, I still get confused. So let me check the line trace blueprint note that I've made. I don't know why I get confused so many times. So here it is. So I have to do multiply the forward vector and then do this stuff. Okay, yeah, that makes sense to me now. Let's do multiply, and we can change this to like float, basically, so that we just multiply everything with like the same value, and then we simply just add it around here. See, this is one thing that I want you guys to know, that it's better to keep notes, because I also forgot how to do that, even though I've made it like so many times, and the logic also like confused me for some reason. And you could see now, any direction I face, I'm going to shoot it from that stuff like this. If you want, you could even make it based on your like character, but that would kind of mess this up a bit. So if I do based on my mesh, so the mesh forward vector is messed up. So again, forward is always going to be red. So if I click on this, you could see the mesh is actually not facing the red direction. So the red is actually the forward. So when you use forward vector, it basically gets the red direction, which is x-axis, which is why it's not showing us the correct stuff. So let's just use camera like this, compile, and let's do F. So we can do is, We can go in here out hit result and say break result. So when you break result, you get like everything that is stored in here. So all this stuff is stored in here. If I go in here and do print string, I can say that, hey, when you hit something, give me the hit actor. So what you have hit. One more thing, our line trace is not being like good enough. It's 500 distance. It's not even reaching till end. So let me make it, let's say 1000. Let's do this and let's do F. If I do F like this, you would see it is now touching there, and you could see it does not give me a message of every single stuff always. It will only give me a message if it is colliding, it is possible to collide with it. You could even make any mesh not be trackable basically, or not be touchable by the line trace if you want. So if I click on here, if I click perfectly, you could see I'm getting blueprint ceiling light like this. This is not good way to do it for, let's say, third person template, but for first person this is like really good, because when you're using in first person, you just have to like you need to just simply use the crosshair and move the line trace from here. But because we are using based on third person, it's a collision method, which is good. But you could see that when I touch the blueprint ceiling light, I get the message blueprint ceiling light. So similarly, what I need to simply do, so all this stuff, it's very basic stuff that we did. We took the camera, we found its location in the world, and then we said, hey, start the line trace from here. Then we said, hey, for my camera, get the forward vector. Now remember, this is the x-axis. So in case if your camera is not facing like the x-axis or something, you will not get the forward vector. You only have like right vector, and the if you want to get backward vector, you have to do like negate. Okay, so we do not have like backward vector. We have get forward vector, get right vector, and get up vector. If you just have to reverse it by doing negate and doing -1 multiplication with it, and you just get the opposite of this stuff. So we got the first location, we said start, then we said get the forward vector, we get 0 to 1 value, we just multiplied by 1000, and then we are basically added to the first location. And then we said that this is the end. We then selected for duration. When you are done everything, you can do none, so that it does not show in the live game. Then whatever it is hit by, we basically get like lots of results. So we get like where it has been impact points, so where it has been touched. So let's say if you are using bullet, then this would give you, let's say, where it touched basically. So you could put some sparks or something around there, or spray or anything, and it gives like so many stuff. But hit actor, and then this one basically gives us like what the item is touched by or which was collided. And remember the way we did it in the past, we can simply say, hey, send it to the hit actor. Let's select it to the target like this. When I press F, I want you to send this message, that is toggle action, to the hit actor. So whichever it is there, it will send that message. But if I go in here and press F like this, right now I'm doing F around here and it is hitting there, but then it's being like, hey, there's no like blueprint interface for that element, right? So I don't need to do that stuff. I can simply just not do anything. But if I click here, you could see it is doing stuff, and which is basically, if I go into my interact, my ceiling light, I need to like do some changes so that it should be different, right? Because we are using interact functionality. I need to now go in here and then basically trigger this, which is true. Again, we do not really need to use isCloser for this type of method, because our line trace is like limited, right? We do the collision kind of makes sense because isCloser and all, but when we are doing line trace, we do not need to use that stuff, isCloser, because line trace has a limit. It has like 1000 centimeter of limit. So if you're far from this one, so if I'm far from this one, I do not need to have something, because my light ray, like my ray like this, interact ray, my interact ray would basically not reach it. So I don't need to check whether it is closer or not, because if I was close enough, then my interact ray would have reached it in the first place. In my blueprint ceiling light, the event toggle action, it will basically do flip flop. It has the light intensity around here. You could even connect it like this and it would work. and you could see nothing's happening. But if I touch it like this, it basically is doing this toggle functionality like this. Okay. So one thing you might have realized that you don't need to create like multiple casting always. You just have to do it once like this, and all you have to do is make the logic in here with this blueprint interface. So if you were trying to do something else, so if we go into our, let's say, what do we have else in here? So we don't really have much to work with, I guess. Yeah, we don't have much to work with in the starter content, but basically you can realize that all you simply need to do is add this event, and this you do not need to touch again. You can just keep it like this and you do not need to touch again. It will automatically send this message called toggle action to any blueprint that it gets touched. So any hit actor, it basically is sending this message, hey, I'm sending a message called do this toggle action in this event like this. And it is this blueprint's job to be like, hey, I have this event, let me do that. So if you have like multiple, like 10, 20 blueprints with this interact functionalities, you don't have to go in here and then take reference for each one of them, right? It's basically just done for you. So you have done this once and it's just been used again and again. All it does is that it sends this message. This goes like, hey, I have this event in me. I received your message. Let me do whatever it is added in here. And this is what makes it like blueprint interface so crazy powerful. So one thing you guys need to know is that if we directly point to a specific item or specific what you call blueprint, basically we are saying, hey, this specific thing is where I need to do something. That's usually when you are using casting or hard references basically. So even if you type something like actor of class, casting and all that stuff, that's all hard references. But when you do not know where you are sending that message, so for example in this case when I'm pressing F, I do not have like hard pointed to like this ceiling light, right? So when my character does not have a message where it says that, hey, ceiling light is something that we need to control. We do not have that hard pointer, right? We basically just do not have anything. Just to give you another example, if I type bp underscore box like this, let's open that bp underscore box. Let's add, I guess, a box. Nope, not box, cube. Let's add a cube. What are these boxes called? M solid blue. Okay, I'm going to make this one have solid blue like this. So we got a box right now. We now need to give it a box collision so that it can interact. And make this like this. Make this be bigger, or slightly bigger than this, or maybe even bigger than that. We can even do it something like this. Okay, we can select our box collision, or actually not like this. We can go in here and select begin overlap. We could even do something like that. So if the other actor has tag, so actor has tag. So this one also does not really know which actor it is. So I'll call it as player. So the tag should be player. If the other actor is player, then do destroy actor like this. So it will basically destroy this stuff. So let's do branch. If it's true, do this like this, true. If it's false, it's not going to do anything. If it has the tag actor like this, so if I go to my third person right now, I add this around here. Let's move it up like this. We also need to go into a BP third person actor. So first let me just play and see. See, nothing's happening. Let me just go in here and then let's do print string. Let's do not player. Okay, so right now it's not player. So even if I like go in here, it's going to say not player. Why? Because we haven't given our actor as a player tag. So if I go to my first person PP third person blueprint like this, double click it, and here I can give it a tag. So tags in here, and I can give it as player. Again, it should be same, capital and non-capital, however you set. Let's click here. If I go in here, you see it worked. Now let me just go into my blueprint. Let me do save first, like this blueprint box. Let's go to my asset. Where is it? As asset. Nope, not in here. Sorry. Reference viewer. Do I see that it has actually reference to my player? Nope, I do not have that one. So even though this is something that I've added in here, it is only taking that much space. It is not taking my like my character, because again we haven't really said that, hey, this actor I want to do something, like this specific actor I want to do something. It is just saying that, hey, anything that has what you call player actor, then do that. Okay, so if I touch this, it is basically going to do that stuff. So just remember, there are lots of ways of using soft references and hard references. It's not just blueprint interfaces that you have to do. You just have to think of it as, I want to send it directly, and if I want to send it directly, then it's 100% going to just be hard reference. And if we do not have anything that we know about, so we do not know whether, or if the blueprint doesn't know whether it is like what the interacting is, or what the other, like it's not pointed correctly. Okay, I know I'm getting like hard to understand because I've been talking so long, but just keep that in mind. If you are saying a specific name, then it is hard reference. If you're not saying a specific name, then it is soft reference. So I'm recording this in another day, but I just wanted to show like one of the examples that we can do. So I'm going to do this in first person. So for this one, I'm actually going to use the first person mode, just to so because there's like already a gun in that. This is the first person template. It is actually using casting, but for temporary purposes, let's just, if you select this gun, go to edit pp, you will see that it is using casting, which I do think I showed in that video, which I've recorded before. I don't remember. I'll know when I'm editing it. What I could do is I could create like a blueprint cast actor pp underscore item. Why not? Let's double click on it, and I'm just going to create a square on this one. Oh, sorry, cube. I could just use solid color, like M solid blue, like this. I'm going to add a collision, and then scale that collision up like this. Now the way this works is that when I click something, I don't know how they have made like lots of stuff in here, but one thing I do know is that if I go to this pp pickup pp weapon component, in here they have added all the functions where if you click left click like this, so if you click left click, it will basically shoot stuff. And I don't know why they have done all this stuff. Maybe there's some logic to it, but again, the way I do it is like a bit smaller, but I'm just going to use this one. So if I click on here, this is the projectile blueprint. So this is what's getting shoot every time we are pressing left click. So this is where we have to do stuff. Here you could see on event hit, it is doing all that stuff. And there's the collision. So if you go in here, you could see there's a collision component for this bullet. So if I click on this collision component, I can also do on component hit like this. I could go in here and then do like destroy actor. Which one should I do? I'll add a branch. So I'll add a branch. Let's click like this. Let's do connect here. And then here I could do is that has tag. If the actor has a tag, destroy or something, I can add the connection in here. In my BP item, I can give this one simply a tag like this and call it like say destroy like this. Now if I go and add this one around here, let's play. If I go in here, if I shoot to this one, you could see this is how it's going. If I click here, let me see, it's not doing anything, simply because we now need to get this actor. So again, we have set to like destroy actor, right? But it is actually destroying itself. We don't want to destroy it itself for the projectile. We want to destroy whatever the target is. So we can just go and connect it around here. Let's do preview, and now let's see. If I click here, you could see it is now getting destroyed. If I create multiple one of them, it will easily be destroyed. And see, clicked here, clicked here. If I go into this one, go into reference viewer, you can see there's no reference for this one. If I go to my projectile, let's save everything just to make sure. Reference viewer, no reference. If I go for this one as reference viewer, you could see no reference. So it's not taking it's not taking this actor in the memory automatically. It is doing dynamically without any hard reference, which means I can give any actor destroy like this one and it would basically work. Another way would be, so another way for this one would be, let's go to a BP item and then here we will see, here in this collision I can add a simple, so in our BP item I need to first create an interface. So let's go into blueprint, interface, BPI underscore destroy, and let's call it, let's say destroy. Let's do compile. We need to give it to this one. So in the class settings we can give it, let's say destroy, BPI destroy. Let's go and implement this and we can simply type destroy actor like this, which is self, so it will destroy self. In our projectile component like this, we can give the message to destroy actor. We don't even need to use this branch like this. Now if I go in here, if I click, I can simply just do this. They are not getting destroyed, but if I shoot on them, I don't know why it destroyed the floor. Okay, let's see. Okay, so there's one stupid thing that I did. We don't want to like destroy, we want to actually send the message to the target around here, which is, let's say if I search for destroy, we have to send the message destroy to the other actor. Okay, there we go. That was very stupid of me. Now you could see it works, and if I do this stuff, it works nicely. So yeah, that's all guys. Again, if you have any more doubts, please leave a comment. I would like to know that, and I also like to answer some questions so that I can also explain and understand stuff better. So yeah, that's all. I guess this video didn't turn out to be too long, and yeah, bye, goodbye.